Hey Duck fans, and happy upcoming Halloween! Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. I love the candy, the spooky stories, and the costumes. Dressing up was always one of the best things about Halloween. Getting to be anyone or anything you felt like was both fun and liberating. One of the best things about Halloween in the Disney parks also happens to be the costumes. All the characters that walk around get dressed up for the holiday. This month, we're going to take a look at some of the various costumes Donald Duck has worn in the parks over the years. When I first started my research for this video, I figured there wouldn't be too much variation, and certainly there couldn't have been that many. While there are some costumes that do get recycled, Donald has been a pumpkin many times over the last couple decades. There have been plenty of different costumes. You could even find Donald wearing a different costume on the same day you're at the park. During usual daytime hours, he's often dressed in something simple, like the ever-popular pumpkin costume. However, if you happen to have a ticket to Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party or the Oogie Boogie Bash, Donald will be in a different costume for that event. Not just that, but he might be in 2 or 3 different costumes, one for meet and greets where you can take photos with him, and a completely different outfit when he's riding on a float in the parade. If there's a stage show, that means another outfit. While in the United States, Donald usually dresses in the same basic costumes. He's been a pumpkin, a devil, a vampire, a knight, and even a superhero. This year, his costume is that of a giant piece of candy corn. It's overseas where we get some of his more visually interesting outfits. He's cosplayed as Disney villains, once as Hades in Japan and once as Maleficent in Paris, but it's his gothic Halloween-inspired suits that I find to be a fascinating choice. Halloween itself is a different experience in Asia. They don't trick-or-treat, they don't do block parties with haunted houses, and they don't have corn mazes and hay rides. Instead, Halloween at the Asian Disney parks is more of an adult event, with pretty costumes. In past years, Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Daisy have worn beautiful suits and dresses with Halloween flair, covered in silken spiderwebs and pretty pumpkins. They've done masquerade costumes, and in 2019, Donald and Daisy dressed as matching jesters in Shanghai. One costume I want to mention didn't appear in the parks during normal operating hours, but instead Donald wore for a VHS special called Disney Sing-Along, Disneyland Fun. There's a segment where the evil queen in her witch disguise, Captain Hook, the big bad wolf, Maleficent, and a bunch of evil trees are dancing to the song Grim Grinning Ghosts from the Haunted Mansion ride, and for some reason, Donald is dancing along with these villains as a ghost. It's adorable, really, and I've linked below where you can watch this silly little segment. I think so far my favorite costume I've seen Donald wear has to be the Maleficent costume from Disneyland Paris. I just love how his face is painted green, just in case you weren't absolutely sure who he was supposed to be. I would love to see more villainous costumes in the future. There are some pieces of merchandise where he's dressed as other villains like Jafar and Captain Hook. Which costume do you Duck fans like best? Let me know in the comments, and here's hoping you have a happy Halloween.